right, welcome everybody back to another episode of the Big Doug and Carmi Show, your one-stop shop for all things Commanders. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss an episode like today's episode with David Harrison from Locked On Commanders. David, New England, how is it?
Oh man, it's beautiful. It was a good time. It was great to be out here. A lot of fans. The excitement in New England is almost as real as it is in Washington. And today was the first day I got to wear long sleeves to practice and didn't catch flack for it. So yeah, everything's going well.
It's a matchup of the number 2 versus the number 3 quarterback. How did each guy look? I think there's a lot of people before last year thought one guy, the other guy. I like our guy, but how'd they look today?
Yeah, I think both guys look good, right? I think both quarterbacks for both these teams give everybody a reason to be confident in what they're building and what they're trying to accomplish here. Obviously, Washington is considered further ahead after making it to the NFC Championship game, but Drake May and the New England Patriots, under Mike Vrabel, they certainly have something building here. I was actually watching practice from the stands with some of the fans and family members of some of the Patriots players, and they were kind of asking me like, "What's the outside view of the Patriots and everything going on here?" And I said, "Look, if they let Mike Vrabel be Vrabel and not the next Belichick, I think they've got something brewing probably next year or two." The hope, obviously, with Washington and Jane Daniels is it's not a year or two, it's this year.
It sounds like the offensive line had themselves a pretty good day today, at least at the tackle spots. If Laramie Tunsil is anything close to what it sounded like he was today, big things for the Commanders. A lot of things Kingsbury can do when you can leave that left tackle on an island.
Yeah, Laramie Tunsil looked great. Laramie Tunsil looked good in team drills, one-on-ones. Didn't lose a single rep and just kind of looked like that pro, right? There were certainly some Patriots players looking to kind of get their name by beating Laramie Tunsil, and it didn't happen. And Josh Connolly Jr., look, he's a rookie, first joint training camp practice, first time going up against a live opponent in the National Football League. So he had some good reps, he had some not so good reps. But I think if you're looking for a silver lining, didn't have any terrible reps, right? And that's it's like a lot of people are going to want to hear that about a first round draft pick, right? But you also have to remember how late he was in the first round. So having a good day here, he's got some good things to build off of. He's got some good lessons to grow off of, and I think that's really the key.
I think something fans need to remember as we're looking at this revamped secondary, I frankly think maybe it has turned into one of the better rooms on the team from the moves they've made. Sounds like early in practice, maybe Sandrill was a little slower. I think it's important for fans to remember he played outside all last year. He's actually relearning a position that maybe he didn't even really know that well to begin with in the slot last year. Patience, I'm assuming, is needed here.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something I talked about earlier this offseason on my own show is, we're all kind of taking this step with Mikey Sanderson saying, look at everything he did last year. Now it's year 2, take this step forward. And certainly in a lot of areas, he can take that step forward. But like you just mentioned, he's going from one position to a different position. Yeah, they're both labeled cornerback, but they're very different positions. And so he's going back to a position that he hasn't played in a very long time. So there are going to be some growing pains. There's going to be some opportunity to grow there. And while this new secondary does look a lot better on paper and certainly has looked really good in training camp so far, they are still learning how to communicate with each other and what everything means. So coming up here against a live offense that they've never seen before, they don't know any of the tendencies, and they don't have the opportunity, right, to go back to the meeting room and say, okay, here's what the quarterback's doing, here's what this receiver likes to do, things like that, and come back out. It's all baptism by fire out here. So you see a little bit of that early on. Demario Douglas certainly had a really good day for the Patriots. Drake May, Hunter Henry were able to connect as well. But at the end of it all, you have an interception by Mikey Sanderson, and just kind of shows the value of, stick in there, stay with it, and ultimately, you're going to get to where you want to go. So, yeah, it's very important because, I'm going to do my own show, and, I've already decided, like, the opening is going to be, it's not Monday, but it's time to tell some truths. And the truth about today's practice is the Patriots won, right? The Patriots won today's practice, but there's no reason to take this and turn into sophomore slump, 12 wins, flash in the pan. Like, there's certainly a lot of context that needs to be put on it. I think you're already doing a good job with that, so I think that's going to be the key.
If you think about the Jets joint practice last year, I think people were a little nervous. It's the first one of these. It's on the road. Everything's different. No Noah Brown, no Terry McLaurin. What did it look like out there? I'd have to imagine that the wide receivers looked a little pedestrian today.
Yeah, it was a lot of screen work. There was a lot of quick work, a lot of Zach Ertz, you know what I mean, which you're going to expect even when Terry and Noah Brown are on the field. There's going to be a lot of Zach Ertz, right? But you certainly see that you're missing, 2 of your top 3 receivers when you go out there. Luke McCaffrey had a really nice catch in the right back corner of the end zone in one 11-on-11 drill. I was really far away from. I was actually about as far as I am now. If you look behind me, that's about how far away Luke was when he made the catch. I'll tell you, some Commanders players certainly threw their hands up. No Patriots players were given incomplete signs, so I took that to mean, okay, it's a touchdown. I caught up with Luke after practice and asked him if he got both feet in. He said, as far as he's concerned, he did. So we're going to count it as a touchdown. Ja'Cory Brooks had a nice one-handed catch that Jaden Daniels talked to us a little bit offline about. Really impressed, the quarterback, and was able to come up big for his team for another touchdown. So again, when you go back and listen to all the notes, like you're going to hear like 6-7 touchdowns by the Patriots, only a couple for the Commanders, and so that's going to seem really lopsided. But again, it's important to remember the context we're talking about and what we're dealing with.
It sounded, by all accounts, another sharp day from Jaden Daniels. Dan Quinn says this is the work they'll get. It sounds like he won't play in the preseason game, maybe in none of them. Are you a fan of that? Jaden Daniels, year two, already getting the no preseason treatment?
Yeah, I am in this situation, right? Like, I know a lot of us have kind of our general opinions on preseason and reps and all that stuff. I think it really has to be contextual. I think it's got to be a case-by-case basis. And given what Jaden was able to do in his rookie season, given who he's been, the fact that he was here through the entire voluntary portion of the offseason program, how he looked in OTAs, mini camp, training camp, like there is no rust on this guy, right? Like this dude is dropping dimes. He's reading the field. There's no need to put him out there at risk to get him extra work. He's getting plenty of work in these circumstances. So I'm 100% on board with Dan Quinn deciding not to play Jaden Daniels. I didn't expect Jaden Daniels to play. I probably, as of right now, I'll say like I expect him to play like a drive, maybe two against the Bengals next Monday night. But even that, or not next month, the following Monday night. But even that would be like you're probably gonna get like two handoffs and a screen, right? Like you're not probably gonna get. You might get like an immediate just throw it up there deep on a fade. You're not gonna get a lot of time in the pocket because there's no need to risk it. So yeah, in Jaden's situation, I'm good with it.
Who's got a better chance to make a bigger year two jump, McCaffrey or Sinnott?
I think McCaffrey just because Ben Sinnott is still playing behind a Hall of Famer, and he's still playing behind the best blocking tight end in the league, who is a very underrated receiver in John Bates, right? Like just the mountain that he's got to climb to get reps at all is just the reason I'm going to say McCaffrey. But I'm kind of with Coach David Rye, the tight ends coach. Like when Ben Sinnott gets unleashed someday on the NFL, whether it's this year, next year, or the year after, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I just don't know that it's really going to be this year.
They spent a second-round pick on him. I know this is not how the league works. I know this is not how Adam Peters will do things. But at what point does Adam Peters go into Cliff's office and say, hey, we spent some good capital on him. I'd like to see what the kid can do?
Never. Honestly, never. I don't think he ever does, right? Because I think if it starts to not work for some reason, Cliff will bring him up and give him more reps on his own. But I think that, I don't really feel like that's going to be a thing. Like, I don't really think this is going to be a situation where defenses are just going to suddenly figure out how to stop Zach Ertz and an offense that accentuates his strengths because they hadn't been able to do it for the rest of his career. Again, when he's in a good system that accentuates what he does best, right? So outside of, injury, which, I'll knock on wood later, there's nothing around me, but, outside of injury, I don't think it's the thing. But this is a great problem for a general manager to have, right? Like every general manager would love to draft a kid in the second round thinking we got this veteran who's probably going to be a role player, not going to be an every down guy. So we got this other guy who's unproven but very solid. So we'll draft this high-end guy to develop behind them and eventually get in there. And the role-playing veteran turned into an every down stud for my team. So now I can't get my second-round pick on the field. Like that's an amazing problem to have. And really, as long as Ben Sinnott is on board and not getting frustrated, which I can tell you from conversations with him, he is absolutely understanding and just appreciating everything that he gets to do with this team. There's not a problem, and I don't think there's going to be a problem.
Speaking of Adam Peters, it feels like if this group all makes the 53, and it feels like there's a chance for that, and be back, if I'm not mistaken, that's back-to-back years where every player they drafted makes the team.
Yeah.
Not only is that a change from what we're used to, but it's impressive by any way you look at it.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it would be back-to-back seasons. And, yeah, I mean, I do expect at this point every pick this year to make the 53. It's back-to-back years where you look at every pick making the 53 and you don't look at a guy and say, yeah, that's just the GM wanting his draft pick to make the roster so that he can say his draft picks made the roster, right? And unfortunately, I've covered GMs where sometimes those years they come and you have, Commanders fans know that feeling as well, very well. So sometimes it happens. But when you look at a plan and a strategy and a system that's in place, it's not just AP, right? It's Lance Newmark, it's the scouts, it's the directors, it's all these guys coming together. I was actually just having a conversation with Lance Newmark on the field. I had a recent comment about one of my draft videos, and somebody said, like, man, you need to send this to AP. Not like that AP doesn't know what he's doing, but like, you're really smart and you know what you're talking. And I don't get me wrong, I appreciate all those compliments. But the thought of my ever trying to bring Adam Peters anything that I say about a draft pick is never going to happen. But it just shows how people are excited about the processes. And as long as the process that they have in place stays as effective as it has been, I mean, you're going to have this for years and years, because they're going to continue to bring in one-year veterans and then start shuffling in young guys to develop behind them.
Are we speeding up the demise of Brian Robinson too fast?
Yeah. I mean, I think that, a lot of people are excited about Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt, as they should be. I'm excited about him. He's excited about his own career and all these things. But, experience is the greatest teacher, right? And Ja'Cory got his first, bit of that, true NFL experience today. It's going to ramp up even more on Friday, and then so on and so forth into the regular season. I think Ja'Cory as like the third back is certainly a realistic possibility this season. Ja'Cory as the number one back, it's going to have to be something that's proven before it's just, given. And obviously that's how this team operates anyway. So I think that, is Brian Robinson going to be the starting running back for this team in 2026? As of right now, I can't tell you. I'd probably give it, 60-40 odds that it's not, right? But is he going to be the starting back for this team right now? As of right now, he is. And when you look in this practice field today, whether it was him, Austin, Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt, Jeremy McNichols, Chris Rodriguez, even though Chris arguably had the biggest run of the practice, Brian Robinson still very much looked consistently down in, down out as the best running back for this team.
Winning Super Bowls must do wonders for the practice facilities. Those things look beautiful up there.
Yeah, Foxboro is nice. And I don't know if you guys saw the tweets and the videos, but Robert Kraft flying in on a helicopter. I mean, that's just, that's the biggest flex you can have without flexing on people, is just flying in. You got tackling dummies flying and pads flying as the helicopter comes down, getting out of the way for the boss. And he's a nice man. I've met him a couple of times. He's a really down to earth human, but then he flies out of practice on a helicopter, and it just kind of reminds you of where you're both at in life, right? Like you're not in the same level necessarily, but he does a great job of coming up here. This is only my second or third time up here, but the facility is always nice. The staff is well prepared. They run a really tight ship and a really good show. And yeah, the Pats are definitely one of the grade A organizations in the league.
Couple more before we get out of here, and I appreciate your time today. There are three rooms that there was obvious they felt they needed to improve on: the offensive line room, the defensive line room, and we talked a little bit about the corners. That defensive line group is humongous. What do you think? I mean, I know they put out the early depth chart, and that's fine. I'm not overly concerned about that, but what will the defensive line look like come that first game against the Giants?
I think it's going to be Javon Kinlaw, Deron Payne inside. I think Dorrance Armstrong Jr., Dietrich Wise outside. I think those are your DNs. Frankie Louvu obviously will be, outside linebacker, edge, linebacker, safety, whatever you want, he's just going to be a Louvu, right? Like, just create a new position called Louvu, and that's what Frankie's playing. Von Miller is going to be your rotational pass rusher, your hitman, your mercenary, so to speak. That's going to be kind of your group. Jonathan Brooks is going to get some rotation in there as well. Eddie Goldman will get his reps. Johnny Newton certainly will get his reps as well. And I think it just kind of goes back to what Joey Jr. was talking about last year, right? We call it 11 starters, but really he's got like 16, 17, if not more, regular rotational guys. And it's going to be the same type of system this year. It's just hopefully the focus is going to be able to get guys in situations where they can better take advantage of their skill sets.
Will it end up being Quan Martin and Will Harris, do you think?
Yeah, that's I think that's so far has been the best tandem, the best duo, I should say. And then when Will Harris drops down to the box of that star position, to play that star position, that hybrid safety linebacker, Percy Butler has been the safety coming in to play with Quan, which was what he was doing last year with Jeremy Chinslow.
Okay. Everybody is looking up at the Eagles, trying to get there. Did, in your mind, have the Commanders closed the gap at all this offseason?
Yeah, I think on paper you certainly have to say that they have. You know what I mean? A little bit because they got better, added Debo, got stronger, got better at the point of attack on defense and things like that. But also the Eagles lost a lot of good, players. I mean, Milton Williams out here playing ball for the New England Patriots, and little bit of flashbacks. Like he got some penetration a couple times on the line. Got a couple wins in one-on-ones, right? But he's doing it for the Pats, and this is the only time you're going to see him, so it's okay this time. But the Eagles lost some players. They lost some leader. Darius Slay. I know by the end of it, like he wasn't necessarily like their best corner, and Quinyon and Cooper and all that stuff. Certainly very talented, but that veteran leadership is important. You know what I mean? And when you lose that, I'm not saying it's going to like torpedo the Eagles season or anything like that, but it can have an impact, and we'll see if it does. And then losing Kellen Moore, I mean, losing your offensive coordinator is incredibly impactful. Because Kellen, even last year, it took him about 4 games to realize that Saquon was going to be where his bread was buttered. So we'll see if this new offensive coordinator comes in with that understanding, or if he comes in trying to make Jalen, the centerpiece of that offense again. And again, the Commanders have another year to try to come out there and defend them.
David, we appreciate you, buddy. Be safe out there and enjoy the baseball game tonight.
Absolutely. I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, man.